back, there's a switch, toggle switch, I turn it on. Okay, all the numbers appear. Then it says calibrate machine, refer to page 3. Okay, referring to page 3, we must calibrate the machine so that it's accurate. And how we do that is very simple. It says here, the tire balancer should be switched in the on position. The wheel guard hood should be closed. I'll close the wheel guard. And then we have to punch in some sort of coding into the machine here. First thing it says is push F1 and then spin. So I'll press F1, spin, and it says the display should read cal SLU, which it does. Now remove the calibration weight from the back of the unit. Calibration weight is in the shape of a small hockey puck, and it unscrews from the back. It's next to the toggle switch. So I'll take that out. Okay, here we are. And I'm going to take this small weight, and I need to install it onto the bell housing of the assembly here, of the wheel balancer assembly here. So I'll take that and I'll thread it in gently, right? I don't want to cross thread it. Okay, and it should be very, very simple, right? Very simple to install. Just snug, okay? Now, I have to lower the wheel guard, and the unit will spin and then stop. Once it stops, the reading should say cal 0, which it does. Raise the wheel guard and remove the calibration weight. And very important, we need to put that back in its original place. We don't want to lose this. Okay, that's back in its place. Now I have to lower the wheel guard again, and it's going to spin without the calibration weight. And the display should read cal 600D. Have your instructor inspect this point to show your instructor that you've calibrated the machine and now it's accurate. Once you've done that, you can go back to the first page of your project, you can follow the procedures, and the machine is now balanced. Okay? So first thing on the instructions, we have to take your tire and your wheel assembly, and we have to make sure that it's properly inflated. Now, most car tires require 32 psi. So I went already, I got my air hose and my tire gauge and filler. And I'm going to take my valve cap off. I'm going to check my tire pressure. What I do is I put the tire gauge filler on the valve stem, and I make sure I don't hear any hissing. If I hear any hissing, then it's leaking out of here, and that's not an accurate reading. There we go. And you can see here my gauge doesn't even come up. This tire doesn't have enough pressure. So I have to inflate it by pressing the handle here. Okay. When I let go of the handle, the gauge should pop up and it'll tell me my reading. Still not enough. There we go. We're getting there. We're just under 30 psi right now. At 30, 31, and 32. If you want to zoom in here, you can see exactly the one line after the 30 represents the 2, so that's 32 psi. There's 4 lines in between the 30 and the 40. Each one line represents 2 psi. Okay, I'm going to take my valve cap, I'm going to reinstall that. Now, I'm a little picky. Since we're balancing this wheel, and weight, like the valve cap, might make a difference. Okay? So I always like to have the wheel assembled as if it's on the vehicle with valve cap. So I'm going to disassemble this air hose here by pushing 2 together, and while holding it together, I pull back the knurled section. Now I'm going to take this over here, and I'm going to take that tire, and I'm going to place it on the machine. And the valve stem, the face of the rim, needs to be facing away from the machine. Now you can see here we have a center hubcap, and we need to remove that. And I use a pry bar because I'm going to pry, not a screwdriver, a pry bar. So there's a little space here notched specifically for the pry bar. I'm going to stick that in there, pry it out. Without dropping this, I'm going to pull it off. Okay? When I take this here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it facing up on the bench, therefore not scratching the visible surface. If I put it facing down, that's going to scratch the visible surface, and the customer might be upset with new scratches on his wheel. So I'm going to put facing down. Okay? So let's see what the instructions say. So now it says here that we have to mount the wheel on the machine. Okay? To do that, we have to use one of these cones here that fit in the center of the hub. Okay? So I'm going to take this wheel, and I need to find a cone that fits the center of the hub here.
Go.
So now I'm going to try and choose one, and there we go, fits perfectly. See how the hub, the cone section, fits into the wheel? Okay, and it sits in the center here somewhere. That's a perfect fit. Okay. Now before I install the wheel on the machine, I want to remove the old wheel weights. The old wheel weights were used on the previous students, and we want to start fresh. So I'm going to take the wheel weight hammer from the wheel weight assembly area. Okay, and the wheel weight hammer has several different components of it. We have a hammer section here. We have a cutting section here if I wanted to trim a weight, customize. I have this section here, I can crimp the hook on the weight, and this section here, it's like a pair of pliers, I can pry off the weight. So I'm going to pry off the old weights. So I'm going to stick the hammer in like so, the hook section into the hole of the wheel weight, and I'm going to peel it off the rim, like so. Same thing over here. Okay. Now I'm going to go do the other side. And we have two on this side as well. Oh, drop that. And I'm going to peel this one off. Now I'm going to place the weights here just in case the machine asks me to use the same weights. Therefore I'm not hunting for new weights. So here we go. We're going to place the wheel on the machine. Again, facing out. I'm going to take my cone, place it in the center. Now you can see how the cone rests really deep into the rim. So next procedure would be to take this wing nut and to tighten it down. But because it's so far recessed into the rim, I'm going to be afraid that the wing nut might scratch the rim. So I'm going to use another cone as a spacer. A larger cone, I'm going to use that as a spacer, so therefore I don't have to tighten it as far and I don't have to worry about the handles scratching the rim. Okay, snug it down. Not too tight, just enough so there's no wobble, and then another little oof. Okay, so that's on. Now, the hardest part about this project is taking the measurements of the wheel and putting it into the machine so the machine knows what size wheel we're dealing with. Okay, so according to the instructions, we're on step 6. It says measure the wheel. We have to do rim depth, rim width, and rim diameter. So rim depth is the offset, how deep the rim is. So we take this little weight, this little adjustment measurement gauge here, and I take it and I put it on the outer lip of the rim. Okay, now make sure it's on the lower portion, not quite this part, but this part here. And I like to hold it from the back of the screw here, not from down here. Okay, so I take a look at my measurement over here and I have a 67 showing. Now if I hold it from this lower location, you can see here how you can get a miscalibrated number. Okay, so I like to hold it from the top. I got a 67. Okay, 67 showing. So I'm going to take that information, I'm going to take it to my machine here. Here's my rim depth button. Press that. Click 67, and it's in. Next is rim width. I'm going to press that. I'm going to take my measurement tool that was hanging off the side of the machine. I'm going to place these 2 points here on the same point that I used the original measurement on, and I'm going to measure across to the other side. So let's do that. Now I come over here to the gauge, and it says here I got about a 7 1/4 inch wide rim. Okay, so I'm going to take that information. Remember, I've already pressed this button. I'm going to go 7 2 5. So that's the size of my wheel, the width. Now, rim diameter is written on the tire itself. So if we spin the tire, we try to find a rim diameter. Perfect example is right here. Now, talking about tire size and rim size, we have these numbers here, okay? So let's go through them. P stands for passenger car tire. So this is a passenger car tire. 235 represents millimeters wide. How wide the tire is, 235 millimeters. 75 is called an aspect ratio. 75% of 235 is how tall the tire is. So the 75 series or 75 aspect ratio. R stands for radial ply tire. There's two different types of tires in use today. There's radial ply and there's bias ply. Radial ply are found on cars and light trucks. Bias ply are found on buses, tractor trailers. 15 represents the inches in rim we use. So this tire is to be mounted on a 15-inch rim. So instead of having to measure the rim, I can refer right to the tire. So 15-inch rim. So again, passenger car tire, 235 millimeter wide tire, 75% aspect ratio, radial ply, 15-inch. We need that 15-inch for the machine. So I'll go ahead and I'll press the button here for rim diameter. And it defaulted to 15, but I'll punch it in just to be safe. And remember, it's 15-0. It's not 15 and a half, because there are such thing as half-size rims. So 15-inch rim. Once I've got that, I got the wheel weights off. I've inflated my tire to proper pressure. I've installed all the information into the machine here. Okay. I'm going to make sure there's no wheel weights. I'm going to make sure this is nice and snug. Okay. I'm going to close my lid. Now, very important, this machine, its purpose is to measure how out of balance this tire is, how much it vibrates at high speeds. And it works on vibration. So if I'm leaning on the machine, if I'm touching it, I'm absorbing some of that vibration. So it's very important we don't touch the machine when operating. So if you've left tools on the machine, when you close the lid, it's okay to leave them on there. Just don't grab them while the machine is spinning. Okay, so here we go. We're going to close the lid and the machine's going to automatically start spinning. Remember, not touching the machine. Here we go. The machine tells us that on the left side of the wheel, we need 150 grams, 150 ounce, or 1.5 ounces, I'm sorry. And on the right side of the wheel, we need the same, 1.5 ounces. So let's lift the lid here. And I usually start with the heavier side, but in this case, they're exactly the same. So let's start on the inside here. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to spin the wheel until the position says 0. Remember, I'm only concentrating on the left side here. I'm not going to concentrate on the right side. Don't pay attention to that just yet. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to position it at 0. So I'm going to take this 150 ounces, and I'm going to hammer it on the 0 position. What is 0 position on the wheel? Well, let's take a look here. We have this nice line here, and that represents 12 o'clock. We got to take that and line it up directly with the wheel, and we're going to hammer 1.5 ounces directly on the wheel. Okay? So grade 10s are not to use any of these wheel weights here. These are for the senior classes, and these weights are wheel weights, are brand new wheel weights to be sold to customers. So we're going to have to reuse some older wheel weights. Okay? So, but I'm going to use these as an example, okay? So I'm going to take a 1.5, and it says steel. So let's take a look at it, just to look. I'm not going to use it. And then there's a 1.5 aluminum. What's the difference? Let's look at the weight. The weight itself is made of the same material. It's made out of lead. It has a steel hook. Now, what this represents is, if you look at the hooks, you can see the hooks are much larger on the aluminum wheel weight than on the steel wheel weight. The reason why that is that wheels that are made of aluminum versus wheels that are made of steel, aluminum is a softer, weaker metal. So in order for it to handle the same load characteristics that a steel weight does, the aluminum itself needs to be thicker. So that's why the hook has to be larger, because it has to hook over a larger material, larger amount of material. Now, how also do I know this is aluminum wheel weight? Because it has the letter A stamped in it. Stands for aluminum. Steel wheel weights have dog fangs or holes in them, and that's a steel wheel weight. Okay? So I'm going to take a look at my old wheel weights and see if I have the right weight. Well, here we go. We have the right weight. Okay? So it's a 1.5, and it's an aluminum wheel weight. Okay? So I'm going to get over here on this side of the tire. Now I'm going to hammer it here, and I'm on the opposite side. It makes it easier for me. I'm going to grab my safety glasses. Very important to be safe. I'm going to take my wheel weight hammer. I'm going to place my 1.5 wheel weight directly at 12 o'clock in that position there. Okay, be careful not to hit your hands. And we're going to hammer it on. Here we go. It's on. Nice and easy. Now, I can go ahead and I can hammer on the other side, but there are occasions where when I place a weight on one side of the wheel, it could affect the balance on the other side. So I'm going to measure the balancing of the wheel at this position. Here we go. Again, don't touch the machine while it operates. There we go. Now, still concentrating on the left side, I did what the machine asked. I put the 1.5 ounce weight at the right position, but it's still asking me for more weight. Now, it's not professional to put two weights on one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this at 0, just to see where I'm at. Okay, so still looking at the left side, never mind the right side. I want this to say 0 before I move over to the next side. So I'm looking for ½ ounce at 0 position, but I don't want to do that. Let's take a look at the wheel here. Now, the machine is asking me to put ½ ounce at this location, okay, but I'm not going to do that. It's not professional. The machine is telling me that this corner right here is ½ ounce lighter than the rest of the wheel, okay. So I'm going to take my other wheel weight over here that I have down here, and I'm going to manipulate. Okay, so now I've turned my wheel, and I'm going to manipulate the wheel. So I'm going to take it off. I'm going to hammer it an inch closer to the problem area. Okay, so hammer it there, take it off there, move it over about an inch, roughly. It's not rocket science. And hammer it on. There we go. So now we're going to spin the machine and we're going to see what we got. Remember, don't touch the machine. There we go. So now we're done this one side. Now we can concentrate on the right hand side, or the outer side. So again, I'm going to take a look at my old wheel weights that the previous class used. And yep, we have the 1.5, and it is an aluminum weight, so they did the used rate weight. So again, we're going to 0 the position. We're zeroing it. Okay. And now I'm going to hammer it on the other side here. Safety glasses and all, very important. Okay. So I'm going to line it up in the center here. I'm going to take my 1.5. I'm going to use my hammer. Don't hit my fingers. Here we go. There we go. Now I'm going to lower the safety guard, and the wheel's going to spin. Remember, don't touch the machine while it's spinning. Same idea. So now we have to reposition the wheel weight. So the machine is being a little picky this morning. Okay, so we come over here, we can take a look. And again, same thing. The machine is telling us that this corner here is 0.5 of an ounce lighter than the rest of the wheel. So I'm going to take this wheel weight over here, I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to bring it about an inch closer. Okay, so here we go. So again, I'm going to peel it off, bring it up about an inch, roughly. Okay, I'm going to lower the guard. And we're going to watch to see what we got. Perfect. Make sure you show your instructor this. Show your instructor the zeros and the wheels balanced. Very important to put all your tools away. This hammer here does not go in the tool room. It belongs here with the wheel weight hammers. Okay? And put all